If your knees hurt when you go hiking, especially on the downhill, I'm going to show you exactly how to fix it, step by step. We're going to cover it all in this video. Short-term fixes on the trail, long-term fixes off the trail, how to handle the pain based on where it is on your knee, and ultimately how to build knees that can confidently handle the demands of the mountains. This will be the highest value video you find anywhere on YouTube about knee pain and building strong knees so you can enjoy your hiking pursuits. So stay until the end. If you're new to my channel, my name's James Appleton. I'm a hiking guide here in the Adirondack Mountains. I'm a strength coach, and I've helped hikers all around the globe build strong, durable bodies for the mountains. And knee pain on the trail, that's one of the biggest issues I see. But first, click that subscribe button so you don't miss the next video, and let me know in the comments where your next outdoors adventure is taking you. I want to know. I want to live vicariously through you. So first, let's address the elephant in the room. Why do your knees hurt? It's because hiking is really bad for your knees, right? Wrong. Hiking's actually great for your knees if your knees are prepared for it. What's rough on your knees is taking them into the mountains when they're really just not ready for the demands that the mountains demand of our knees. That, my friends, is where the problem actually starts. Because most people aren't training for hiking. You know, they're sitting all week. Maybe they walk on a treadmill with their backpack on. Maybe they even lift a little bit of weights. And then on the weekends, or maybe once a month, they go hiking 6, 8, 10, maybe even 15 miles with elevation gain and uneven terrain. And they expect their body to somehow just be able to handle it. And then during or after the hike, their knees are wrecked and they go home thinking that they have bad knees. You don't have bad knees. Your knees just aren't ready for what you're asking them to do. But we're going to fix that because your body can handle the mountains when you build it to handle the mountains. First, let's talk about the different types of knee pain because not all knee pain is created equal. There are two main types of knee pain that hikers deal with. So which one are you? First, you got something traumatic happened. You know, you slipped in the mud, you twisted something, you felt and heard a pop. You know, there was an actual defined moment in time where something happened, things went wrong. Now, if that's you, I'd say go get that checked out by a professional. Don't try to just push through, that kind of incident. I highly recommend reaching out to somebody like Dr. John Call. He's a big guy on the internet. He's a hiker. He's a knee specialist. He works with people all over the country. He will get you fixed up. Go see somebody like Dr. John. Now, the second kind of knee pain, and this is where most people fall, nothing traumatic happens specifically, no moment in time you can point to, but the pain just builds itself up over time. Maybe it's throughout your hike, later on in your hike, the pain gets worse, or sometimes you just feel it really badly the next day, and then it lasts for a week or 2 weeks or more. That's what I call cranky knees. That is simply a work capacity problem, and that is something that can be fixed. Now let's talk about where the pain is in your knees because different points of pain require a different plan. But before we go any further, drop a comment if you do have knee pain and let me know where in your knee it hurts. Is it above the kneecap? Is it inside the kneecap? Let me know where the pain actually shows up and then listen to this next part and take some notes because different pain usually points to different issues. So here's a quick breakdown. If the pain is on the top of your knee, right above your kneecap, that is usually a quad tendon getting irritated. Your quad muscle is the big muscle on your thigh, on the front of your thigh. So your quad tendon is a little irritated. That's usually from doing more than it's actually ready for. So the fix, back off a little bit, let that fire, that flame burn out a little bit before we just throw some more logs on the fire, and then gradually build it back up with dedicated strength work to get those quads stronger. Now, if the pain is below the knee, just below your kneecap, that's usually your patellar tendon. Same idea. You probably did too much too fast. So you do not want to stop training completely. You just need to reload it properly over time. So give it, maybe a week to just kind of calm down, let the fire burn down, and then slowly, methodically build it back up to be much stronger, and you'll be good to go. Now, if you're feeling the pain on the outside or the inside of your knee, around your knee, that is usually what people call runner's knee. And this is the big one. This is where it's usually not the knee that's causing the problem. It's usually something that's happening with your hips. Maybe your hips aren't doing their job right, or maybe your ankles aren't moving well. The muscles around the knee aren't quite pulling their weight. So your knee ends up taking the brunt. That's usually something we need to fix in the other areas. Definitely something to see a professional about. Go call Dr. John Call. He'll tell you what's wrong. Now, if the pain is behind your knee, it's in the back of your knee, that is usually one of two things. You may have overextended it, or your hamstrings are significantly irritated. Your hamstring is the big muscle along the back of your thigh. Either way, that's a sign that you do need to back off once again, let that fire burn out, and then rebuild strength and rebuild control so that you have that mind-muscle connection, so the muscles are doing the right things at the right movements. Very important. Now, no matter where your knee hurts, most of these come back to the same root cause. Your body just is not prepared for what you're having it do. So now let's talk about how we fix that, because that's the thing that must be fixed. And once again, if anything feels sharp, you don't really feel stable, it just doesn't feel right, please go get it checked out by a professional. This is not medical advice, but I don't want you guessing. I don't want you to make it worse. And for you, if it's been an issue for like 6 months or even more, some of you have dealt with this for years, definitely go get it checked out, because why continue living with this pain if you don't have to? And as I just mentioned, a lot of the time, your knee isn't actually the issue causing the problem. We got to talk about what is probably causing this knee pain. Many times, your knee is simply the collateral damage from something else not doing its job properly. Your body works as a system, lots of parts from head to toe, and when the other parts aren't doing their job, unfortunately, the knee picks up the slack. So if your hips are weak, not strong enough, or your ankles don't move very well, or your muscles just simply aren't doing what they need to be doing, your knee is going to take that load and take the hit. More wear and tear, more stress. And then over time, that stress turns into pain when your body lets you know, this isn't working for me. Eventually when you put a dog in a corner, it's going to bite you, just like your knees. Imagine if your knees had teeth. Now, for the vast majority of hikers, where does pain show up the most? It shows up when you're going downhill. If you've done a bit of hiking, the ascents are hard on the lungs and the descents are hard on the knees. You can thank gravity for that as it's pulling you down the mountain. And since coming downhill has your body more upright so you don't tip over, your hips can't help out nearly as much, so your knees just take the brunt of that pressure. And that's why it's so important to have strong quads. Because on the downhill, your quad muscles are actually being asked to do something extra challenging that they don't normally do in everyday life. They have to work while lengthening. So this is called eccentric control. And now I want you to remember that phrase, because I'm going to talk to you about it later in this video and show you exactly how to train for this. So if those downhills really do make your knees bark, eccentric control. Remember that in a few minutes when we hit that in this video. All right, so now that we know what's happening, we got to help you fix it. So what to do on the trail. These are some immediate short-term fixes. If your knees are bothering you when you are out on the trail, implement these things pretty much immediately. These are short-term fixes. Number one, remind yourself that you can do hard things and you can keep going. Because remember, you volunteered to go hiking. Remember, no one's making you be out there. Getting this mental game on point is very important. And if you focus on the pain, that pain is going to become so much worse. So mentally, you got to remind yourself that you can handle this and get your mind off of the pain so you don't just focus on it entirely, because that makes your walk out of the woods really crappy. But now let's talk other fixes. So here's some other fixes that I highly recommend. One, use trekking poles, because they shift a ton of the workload to your arms and your upper body and your back, and they ultimately just take pressure off of your knees. I literally will not hike without poles because they are just that useful. I'll go home if I forgot them. Going up the mountains, they're helpful. Going down the mountains, they're even more helpful. Another short-term fix when you're out on the trail and your knees hurt, take shorter steps. Slow your pace and slightly bend your knees. This will cause way less wear and tear, and it will just ease the slamming of every step, and it works wonders. So just really focus on those shorter strides. Think about control, not speed at this point when your knees start to bark. So those are some quick fixes that will help manage the issue when you are out in the woods and your knees start to light up with pain. But again, they're not going to fix the root problem. We have to fix it for good. Now, let's actually fix it. So make sure you got that pen and paper, take some notes. There's 7 fixes to try, and you'll want to stick around until the end because it is very important. Number 1, we got to get stronger. You need stronger legs, and specifically strong quads, because strong quads help create strong knees, which clearly is huge for hiking. So focus on literally any and all variations of squats. You got barbells, dumbbells, machines, body weight, any of them. And if your knees hurt at a certain point in the movement of a squat as you're squatting down, here's what I want you to do. Squat down and stop just above that pain threshold. And then you start there, then load that up for a few weeks, and over time, slightly go deeper and deeper week after week and just improve that range of motion. More exercises, step ups and step downs, lunges. And like the squat, if the squat hurts, or let's say the lunges hurt, if front lunges bother your knee, try a different variation. Try reverse lunges or try side lunges. All of those things are going to help build your strong quads. Number 2, we have to train specifically for the descent, because you don't just train to go up the mountain. You got to train to come down it too. And if you got crappy knees, once again, an absolute must. And if you don't have crappy knees, train this anyway so your knees never become crappy. So that means we're going to slow things down. Remember earlier in the video when I mentioned this eccentric loading thing? Now that's coming back into play. So we're going to slow down your reps of the lowering portion of the lift. This is known as the eccentric part of the lift. Eccentric is lowering, concentric is pushing. So the lowering of the weight, we want to slow that movement down because you're training the exact portion of your body and the knees and the movement of the muscles that are going to do the work when you're going downhill. So I'd recommend aiming for anywhere from 3 to 8 seconds on the way down. So squats, lunges, step downs, these things we just talked about. So if you're squatting down, make it take 4 or 5 seconds to come down. So you're standing up and you squat down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pause for a hot second and then explode up. There's your movement. All of those movements are going to help you build that work capacity and that control that you need so that your knees stay strong and you can then handle the demands of the mountain descents. Those eccentrics will be huge for you. Number 3, now we got to train one leg at a time. Hiking is a single leg sport, so we need to train that way too. So now we're going to do these same types of movements, but focusing on single leg, split squats, single leg Romanian deadlifts, step ups again, lunges again, of all sorts of variations. Single leg movements are great because they usually reveal weaknesses and they reveal imbalances that you have in your body, especially your hip and your ankles. And then you can start to fix those things too. They're very high bang for your buck. Speaking of your ankles, next, we have to improve your mobility. If your joints don't move and you kind of move like the Tin Man, your knees are going to pay for it. So we must improve that mobility. Focus specifically on your ankles and your hips. And if you want me to do a video on improving your mobility before a hike, comment the word mobility down below. But some quick fixes to improve those ankles and hips. Get in a squat as deep as possible and just hold it there for 60 seconds. Do that 2 or 3 or 4 times a day. That will get your hips nice and mobile. Then when it comes to your ankles, just put your ankle up like this and just kind of work it around like that and make as big of circles as possible. Do that 2 or 3 times a day. You'll be very pleased with how little effort that takes to improve your mobility. Number 5, we have to train your whole body. We can't just train our quads because, again, our body is an entire system. You get one thing strong and you neglect something else, eventually you're going to have a problem somewhere else too. So you also need strong glutes, hamstrings, calves, a strong core. And yes, we're going to train our upper body too, hikers, because weak shoulders are going to lead to injuries too. And ultimately, that will take you off the trail too. We don't want that. We're going to train smart and we're going to train it all. Number 6, now, if your knees already hurt, I want you to remember this. Don't stop training. Don't think, oh, I have to wait for my knees to stop hurting before I can start training. No, that's where people go wrong. They so often take this all or nothing approach. That is what is keeping you down. I want you to learn to train around the pain. I say it to my clients all the time, and I'll say it to you too. Train around the pain. Learn how to figure out what part of the movement hurts. How can I train around that so I can do part of the movement that doesn't hurt? Or if this entire movement hurts, how can I find a different exercise that still hits the same muscles that allows me to train that doesn't cause pain. We're going to back off the movements that aggravate the knee pain, and we're going to keep training hard with the movements that you can, and then slowly build back up over time. If you do need to take a couple weeks off of squatting to, again, let that fire burn out, do it. And then after a couple weeks, instead of pouring gasoline and lighting a huge fire by jumping right in the deep end again, back where you were, give yourself another few weeks to work back up to that place so that you get to a better spot. You don't end up starting a fire all over again. Because if you don't put out that fire, you don't properly rebuild your knees' capacity to work, you're ultimately just going to stay stuck. And your knees are always going to be crappy. They're always going to slow you down out on the mountains. And then your hiking buddies are going to nickname you Knees. Nobody wants to be called Knees. You now have a complete battle plan to build stronger knees. And if you want help fixing those weak knees and building a body that can actually handle the mountains, that is exactly what I do. Check out the links below to see all the different ways I can help you get stronger for the trail and stay strong for the long haul. From coaching to training programs, whatever you need, we got you covered. If this video helped you, leave some love in the comments. Comment the word strong knees. Don't forget to click that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video.